So the Islamic Invasion is happening now. It's been happening for the last 20 years or 30 years, heavily. I remember this was. I was in high school when I watched this documentary, I believe, or it was right after I got out of the military. So it was either before 2006 or right after 2009 when this documentary came out, where they were talking about this guy worked with the FBI, and they have Islamic training camps all over the United States, and which are very well known. They're either, most of them I think are Pakistani or Saudi Arabian or something like that, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, there's tons of places like Islamabad up in New York, and something with Al Sheikh Jelani, I believe his name is. There's obviously, Dearborn, Michigan, and Minneapolis and St. Paul, I believe, are very, very, very heavily populated Muslim areas and Somali areas. But at the time of this documentary, I mean, there was like 30 or 40 known terrorist training camps where they were funding. They would buy cell phones in like bulk and then send them overseas to use as burner phones or phones for IEDs against the United States and Iraq and Afghanistan. And or just they would just send money and stuff from the United States to kill Americans. Now they've known these terrorist camps for decades, and so the goal for, like, if you watch the Sarah Adams interviews and stuff on Sean Ryan, where she talks about Al Qaeda 2.0, Al Qaeda is back, and they are very well organized and run by. They claim that it's Osama bin Laden's son that was supposedly killed, and there's a lot of evidence and stuff for that. Well, anyway, they have been brought to the United States and especially Europe as refugees, and they play the sob story where it's never women and children. It's always fighting aged men that come over in boats and all this stuff. And so they establish a foothold first, or they already did, where they would just send tons of people over. Then they would start marrying and having kids and having children and having these big families and stuff. And then they would get on the welfare system and all that stuff in the United States and even in England, where they're handing them money. It's insane. But in the United States, Somalians that haven't worked a day in their lives are driving around in new Land Cruisers, and they have the new phone and they have all this money just because they're Somalis and they were shipped over here. So now what you see with like places in Michigan and Minnesota where they're changing the state flag, and then they're adding Islamic scripture to their police badges, and they've taken over very specific parts in law enforcement and local government, and it's going to soon to be like school boards and stuff like that. They're already doing this stuff, and I see signs for, Muhammad Omar and Muhammad and all these Islamic names and stuff that are running for local positions and local small town positions and stuff. And very soon they're going to start implementing their religion into small towns and small cities in the United States. They already are. If you saw that clip, I think it came out a couple weeks ago, where there was a Christian man in, I think it was Dearborn, where the mayor is a very devout Muslim, and the resident just said he didn't want to hear the call to prayer or whatever, and the Muslim mayor said, like, well, you can leave, you're not wanted here, and when you finally leave, we'll throw a parade and all that stuff. That's not tolerance. That's not the religion of peace that the left has been spewing and trying to justify Islamic reign in the United States. Like the liberals and the tolerant left are the reason they are here to begin with, and why they've put a foothold, because Islam does not want anything to do with transing kids, homosexuality, or the left satanic culture. Islam is using them as pawns to gain access to the political structure in the United States. So the left looks at them as an ally when they're just using them, and can't wait to just behead them, So the left is screwing themselves, of course, by looking at them as an ally and not a threat, because obviously Islam is not compatible with Christianity or anybody else. Islam isn't compatible with Islam anyway, let alone some leftist satanic child killing culture. So they are starting to get small political influence and positions in the United States, in the small towns and stuff, where they are implementing Sharia law zones. There's no-go zones in the United States where regular police can't go because they're not welcome, and if they go, they'll be attacked and called all kinds of racist names. Who gives a shit? So it's happening here, and one of the problems I have with it is, why isn't our government doing anything about it? This whole being tolerant of every religion is nonsense and is not from the Bible. It is not a Christian value. It is not an American value at all. The founding of this country was based on Christian Judeo values, and that's clearly evident if you look into it. But the government has been used in a way to basically let something take over it, which is Islam. So basically, that's what's going on. That's my take on it. And we better be damn prepared for them to start implementing Islamic law, Islamic culture in the United States, because it's soon it's going to come to local issues, small town schools, rural schools, definitely in the cities, and it's going to come to a head eventually, and we have to absolutely be prepared to fight against it, because the goal for Islam is to take over the United States. One of the things that Sarah Adams was talking about is the stated goal for Al Qaeda on their website or whatever it is to have an attack in the United States where their estimated kill count is 50 to 60,000 at least. They absolutely have sleeper cells. There's too many to count. Unknown terrorists that have entered this country, and we don't hear anything about ICE going after them. We don't hear anything about the government going after them or targeting them or following them or arresting any of them. There was that one in Louisiana that got caught that was part of the October 7th attack in Israel. But what about all the other ones? Did they just magically leave, disappear? Or are they once again letting something happen in the United States so they can further push the surveillance state and just take further control like they did after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, and now we have Palantir and all this AI surveillance state stuff. So maybe they will let it happen again, just like 9/11, to further push the government influence and strip away more freedom from the American citizen. So let's hope and pray, and keep your rifles close. See ya.